I wish I could.
Why is he driving? He's a butthole. And then he goes, hey!
Okay, I think we're live.
Oh,
Okay.
Oh, that means that last word.
Yeah. Okay, let's call this meeting to order. Let's do the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. Let's do roll call, starting off with the head. That in.
Corey present.
Thank you.
Bob Travers.
Roger Coleman.
Joe Fisher.
Turn your microphone on.
Okay, it looks like Tom is not here, and
Tony.
Tony, I understand he was in the air maybe. He was going to try to zoom in if he possibly could. Okay, approval of the agenda. Do I have approval of the agenda? Has everybody got a copy?
I read it.
I do too, go ahead. You want to approve it?
I have a couple
There
of
were a
additional.
I don't know.
A couple of additional items. I think we're going to have maybe a report from staff on the applications for a new committee member, and maybe an update on the funds, the golf course improvement funds, and what's discussion going on there. Okay, approval of minutes or send.
Just a question.
agenda?
So
Yes.
the application for members, is that recruitment or just kind of a requirements to be a part of?
Could be both.
That's what I asked.
We'll be opening up the application process here very soon.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
Move to approve.
I second.
all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Minutes from the July meeting. Thank you, Joe. Everybody have a chance to go through those? Any additions, corrections, changes? Or approved?
Oh.
I wrote them, so I'll approve it.
I'll second it. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all approved. Thank you. Public comments. Richard, is anybody on Zoom?
Soon now. It's Richard.
Okay. Action items. The board has asked us to review the consultant's report and make any suggestions or comments about it. So in your packet is some information that I kind of put together. I think you'll see the title is Rogers Suggested Clubhouse CAC Action. And from that, the key points I got was that the course itself is well regarded. Current facilities are substandard and aging. The proposed improvements would deliver a significantly more attractive facility, which is expected to increase its draw and improving its market position with the regional golf environment. It would also provide an attractive venue for the broader public, including the addition of a full-service restaurant and meeting rooms. The golf-related amenities, such as improved driving range and putting course, can also draw in non-golfers to the facility. The new facility will represent a significant investment, but there are several potential revenue streams that are expected to adequately offset the costs incurred and associated with debt service. The proposed clubhouse will support the operation of a full-service restaurant, pro shop, bar, meeting space, and expansive outdoor seating. An outside operator should be brought in with the capability to run food and beverage service, screen fees, and booking, and other facility amenities. Professional management of a broad range of services at the facility can optimize the complementary aspects of each service category and broader facilities. The addition of a third 9-hole is not expected to generate net revenue for the overall facility. So that's what I saw from the report. Any discussion or questions?
That was just like you were saying, what you gathered from the study,
Yes, yes,
your conclusion.
yes.
Can this be open to the staff in comments?
I think we can open it up to anybody.
Yeah.
Liaison, anybody.
Do you agree with that? I don't agree with, I'm just saying as me, myself, not the board. I don't agree that we should, I do agree that we should have somebody else running the, I know I should have a microphone.
Yeah.
Get closer.
I do agree that we should have.
You can sit over there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jimmy just said here last time. Anyways, I do agree we should have an outside entity handling the restaurant, but I wouldn't have somebody else running what you guys do right now. That would be ridiculous. My personal belief.
That was one of the options that they presented in the feasibility study. They
Yeah.
didn't necessarily say that's what we should do.
Yeah.
They said we had those.
And what's your thoughts on that?
options. I mean, I would love to keep running the golf course.
Yeah.
It's my job.
Well, yeah. Yeah, it doesn't get cheaper when you pay an outside service to do it, and then you lose control. So, yeah, I'm not for that at all.
And you're with the exception of restaurants, because we don't have any.
Absolutely.
The restaurant
Sorry.
definitely needs to go to somebody who's an expert on restaurants. That is not something that CPRD is in the business of. We're not going to run a restaurant. We're not cooking.
Just clarifying it.
Yeah. So, but I do believe that we should continue managing the sale of whatever we sell at CPRD. Hopefully it will be more than hot dogs. I do believe that we should be renting out all of, the golf carts, and we don't need to hire an outside service to do that. There's nothing to be gained by doing that.
Can I ask?
My personal opinion.
Thank you. Go ahead, Bob.
Can I ask Helen one more thing? Is golf now an appropriate entity to continue to use if indeed we were to go towards this new golf clubhouse?
We could definitely look at other options. There are some that don't have like a food and beverage suite as part of their offering. So there's a lot of them out there. So that's something we always look into to see if there's a better option out there. Yeah.
Keep it open there.
Kellen, question for you. Not trying to put you on the spot, but the question that came up, are you interested in running a larger golf operation minus the restaurant? Or would you, two-part question, would you want to focus more on instruction and smaller entities? Two, would you be interested and willing and also supervising the maintenance of the course?
First part of the question, what do you mean by a larger operation?
Well,
27 holes? or-
No, eventually, yes. I'm thinking more of just, you take our clubhouse and we're going to triple the size of it before the restaurant, or ballpark, I'm throwing out random numbers. So there will be, more staff and a new cart barn, improvements to the driving range. Just taking the current operation and expanding it, and that's all minus any restaurant facilities.
Yeah, with a new clubhouse, obviously, it's a bigger business with the restaurant, but I don't see, I always see growing, but I don't see the operation changing like crazy. I don't think we need a lot of extra staff from our end just because of the new clubhouse. And then the second part was,
Are you interested and/or willing to also supervise the maintenance of the course?
that's something I haven't really talked to Clay about. Hasn't really come up besides when we had talked a little bit. So I don't think I can answer that at this moment.
So that's just circling back on the history of kind of one of the reasons that the general manager, project manager would oversee not just operations restaurant, but we also, according to the feasibility study, maintenance should fall under as well, just so they're in better alignment, I would say.
I see the restaurant as its own entity, all by itself. And I see everything else being part of the golf course exactly how it is today. That's what I envision. I mean, and I agree with what Kellen's saying as far as employees go. Yeah, they're going to have a bunch of waiters and waitresses. They'll have nothing to do with the golf course whatsoever. They're just going to be taking orders, serving alcohol, and you guys will be directing people where to go.
And the restaurant has a manager, so that would be my job, to be in contact with them to make sure when there's an event that whatever food is included in the golf event, or if it's a non-golf event but they want to spill over to the golf course and play golf while they're there for the event, that's all something that would be done between the two of
So
us.
minus the general manager / project manager, and we maintained current operations under Kellen and had a restaurant manager. Jason, under your vision, who would the restaurant manager report to?
I think
To
the
ensure that they're meeting the needs put forth by the committee and CPRD.
You know what? I think the restaurant, how I envision it is you're going to have, let's just say you're going to have the Allison at the Greens. I mean, I don't know who it's going to be. All right. And they're going to have their own restaurant. They're going to just figure out what their menu is going to be. They're going to figure out what their hours are going to be, and they're going to probably be in contact, I'm guessing, with Clay. That's what I would guess. Unless you think there's a better way of doing it. I mean, there's got to be some kind of coordination for sure.
I think that would be laid out in the contract,
Yeah.
exactly what
Yeah.
the communication lines were, and
Yeah.
There's probably some examples out there of other golf courses and how they run
Yeah.
with restaurants and stuff, so, yeah.
Did I answer your question?
Yes, you did. No, just looking at our current structure, if I'm understanding correctly, operations has a reporting structure, and maintenance has a reporting structure, but they don't cross paths until Clay. And if we had a third branch to that under restaurant, then that's gonna put a lot more, I don't know, call it workload or whatnot on Clay.
I don't think it'd be much, really.
Really?
Nah, I don't.
Okay.
Because it's going to be their money. You know what I mean? The dollars that come in for the restaurant will have nothing to do with, I think, with CPRD. I don't think we're going to get a take. I don't know what the plan is there, But I don't think that we're getting a take off any of that.
I would assume there's gonna be a little bit of an overlay with food, in dealing with the carts, dealing with, the takeout, between the 9 and 18 hole where they're gonna grab a sandwich or whatever they're gonna do. They're still, I would assume, gonna be able to, pay for it and separate it through the golf course itself. Possibly?
Yeah, I would guess that, they're gonna work that all out in the contracts as far as who's responsible for what,
Okay.
who makes the money from that.
Well, we're not even there yet.
Yeah.
so. And I can't wait to be there.
Any other discussions? I saw that there were kind of 4 areas that still need to be some more discussion and resolution before the board would be interested in making any kind of decisions. And I saw funding options need to be resolved, or some solutions or options need to be come up with. Review and suggestions for improved operation of the golf course. Development plan for the restaurant operations, and then delay development of the third 9 holes. Those are the 4 areas I saw from the report that need further flushing out.
The immediate need.
Exactly, yes, yeah.
I don't have any more than that.
At least with those 4, yeah. I mean, that 4th one really, I feel like, is something that can, I don't know if that even needs to be discussed. It seems like the third 9 is just like not like, for lack of better words, not feasible. So it's just something that doesn't even need to be brought up right now.
At some point in the future, it might be, but
Yeah, in
right
15
right now-
years, but,
yeah,
yeah.
right now, it doesn't seem to be.
Yeah. So I would
something-
say like those first 3 are the,
But it's a decision has to be made by the board about the property. The property's already purchased, and making sure that there's, does it keep reserved for a third 9, or does it look at other options? So that's something the board needs to decide.
The only clarification I would request is under number 2, is that we talk about an improved operation. That's not just, I would not assume that this to be golf operations, but I would include maintenance in that as well.
I didn't see anything in the report to talk about maintenance issues.
I don't know that it was, in my review of the report, that it was adequately assessed.
It is not, but it's part of the, overall budget. When you're looking at how much we make and how much our expenses are,
Yep.
maintenance is in there, so
Yeah.
it certainly has to be. can be
So,
talked
yeah,
about,
okay, so we could modify it to say operation and maintenance. Good suggestion. So any other things, anybody thoughts about the report and ideas that we should like to pass on to the board?
No, I think what you outlined as far as like essentially the priority list of like figure this out, then this, then this, and this, and once these 4 get taken care of, then you can figure out the rest essentially. Yeah.
Because there are definitely additional steps
Yeah.
that need to be done to make for completion of the project.
But a lot of this to me is like once those get figured out, like once the funding is figured out, then you can worry about bidding of construction and
Yeah.
all that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I think my idea was here, there are other things that need to be done
Yeah.
before completion, but,
Can you
okay?
talk about one specific one or others that are not on the list? I couldn't come up with one, but
Okay,
it would be the architectural design. It doesn't have to be the construction side, because that's separate. But the architectural design of the facility
Okay.
is something that needs to be added to the next phase, as far as I'm concerned.
can you elaborate?
Architectural structure.
Yes.
The design of it is taking the rendition and the floor plan and then creating the design in a 3-dimensional way, and the cost, not the cost, but the materials that are going to be needed to build that. Would be-
Okay, and I think that's part of the completion of the construction documents.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think Tom was talking about that at the last meeting.
Was he?
Roger, do you, what would, or committee and staff, what would you think of moving up number 7, the outreach campaign to the public, and making that a higher priority? And the reason I ask that is, I think Jim specifically has brought up before, like funding options, including private donations and stuff, and until we increase, visibility of this to the public, it's going to be really hard to, especially for the private sector, to recruit funds or solicit funds for this.
Yeah, good suggestion. And there is no 6.
Oh, that's good, because I wasn't using my thumb anyways.
Good,
Good catch.
I didn't even see it.
good. Okay, again, what our idea was, what are the key points from the clubhouse feasibility study, and what are the key comments and recommendations to the board? So,
I'll just jump in. I mean,
Sure.
like and this kind of goes into goes into a bit of why I am resigning. Like, it's a lot of personal stuff, but also like the number one thing on here is funding options. Like, to me, nothing matters beyond that if we don't figure out where the money is going to come from. We can talk all about restaurants and Third Nine and what architecture, all this stuff, but it's always going to come down, okay, cool, we got all these plans, where's the money coming from? And then that to me is like, that's where I throw my hands up, and I don't know how that happens. And so it's always going to come back to that. And as Tom said, this thing shouldn't cost $10 million. Even if it costs $5 million, where's that coming from? Who's it going? Like, that's where I'm just kind of like throwing up my hands, because this is where the rubber meets the road. It's like, all right, we did a feasibility study. Yeah, it's feasible. We can do all this. We have all these like hopes and dreams and wishes, but then it's like, okay, cool. Who's paying for it? And then it's like, and it seems like nobody knows that. And other than Jim suggesting go knocking on doors of wineries to try and, which to me is like, that's a whole nother thing. Like, so that's where I'm at, is the number one thing on this list is funding options. And to me, nothing else matters beyond that. Because if we don't have the money for it, or, bonds, again, this is where I don't have that expertise to figure that out, and why I'm kind of just waving my white flag personally. And so that's where it's like, recommendations or suggest, what are the key comments and recommendations boards? Like, that needs to be figured out. And that's why I was asking in the last meeting, like, hey, the aquatic center got built. Like, what was that committee like? It's like, oh, well, they had like 5 different committees, and one handled this and one handled this, and it's like, all right, well, we don't have 5 committees, we have 1. And so my comment recommendation to this board is like, how can you help us figure out the most realistic avenues to find money for this? Because to me, asking Phil Knight or asking the Stoller family, maybe the Stoller family, I don't know, maybe they're willing to donate. Maybe Jim has something there, but to me, that is like, I'm not knocking on doors asking for candy bar donations like I'm in youth football. Like, I don't have time for that. So I'm not going through the phone book calling people. So to me, I want to know what are the actually realistic ways to get money for this that the club or that the board can recommend to us, because Clay and all these guys have that knowledge of what are the actual avenues to do that, whereas I don't. So that's where that is my comment recommendation. What I am leading with is, can you actually help us with realistic avenues to figure out how to get the funding for this project, rather than, go knock on doors. That's my recommendation. More guidance and help figuring out the government, bond, whatever, to get the funding realistically for this project.
And you said it very well, and I totally feel the same sentiment you have. I mean, thank you for saying that. That, in my opinion, in our previous meetings, has been the biggest sticking point, aside from other things that need to be managed. I don't think anyone on the committee has raised their hand and said, yep, I'm an expert in fundraising. And Jim has mentioned, as you mentioned, yes, he had lots of committees. But I want to be on the record of saying Jim also said he spent 4 to 5 hours a day as a project manager for that project. We spend an hour a month meeting here. And we all said none of us have that expertise. And this might segue later into the future agenda item on golf improvement funds, but we need to have someone at least commit part-time to working on this project, fundraising, and addressing all of the points that you bulleted out, Roger, which are just, in my opinion, more detailed than the presentation that Bob and I gave to the last board meeting. But unless, probably similar to Joe's, my similar opinion is unless CPRD or the board has recommendations on how to get funding and how to move this stuff forward, I put back on the table a project manager.
I concur with that, totally, 100%. The other thing that I would have talked about in the past with Clay and others is that to look at the opportunity of selling specific products, or I should say, property that is no longer needed. I mean, it might even be nothing that you could do with the property, but you still hold on to it. Those properties I do not know anything about. Clay seems to know a lot more than most of us as far as that goes. But I'd really like to know what is available to sell to get this funded. Now, the reason I say that is because those properties that are not bringing in revenue is holding back what were promised 20 years ago to build this clubhouse, and it's still not built. And we're showing through the feasibility study that there's $500,000 plus after 2 years of operation that you're going to be able to pull out of that profitability, that revenue. We call it profit, you call it revenue. And so that's my 2 cents on what I see possibly happening. Finding some properties or something that could help, CPRD can help fund this. Don't expect us as outside community service people, volunteers, to put forth the magic wand to get any amount of money to fund this. If you don't have it, it's not gonna happen. If you don't want to expect it to happen, it'll never happen. And funding is the most critical thing. That's my 2 cents.
So what I'm hearing is, like, the suggestions for next step is basically, we've got to develop a fundraising plan. That's number 1 priority.
Yes. And again, I'm.
Yeah. Yeah.
You guys do whatever you want after
It's
this.
a short
point,
time.
Yeah, I wanted to also add, like, the idea of, like, the project manager, someone that knows how to do that stuff, is what I think we will run into is it can't be a full-time or part-time employee. If it's part-time, I don't know someone who's gonna, I don't know, maybe someone's willing to do that job part-time. If it's someone on a contract, where's that money gonna come from? Because the golf improvement fund, as much as we would love to use that, we don't have the say in how that's used. Like, CPRD could say tomorrow, like, we're gonna buy this piece of equipment for the golf course to improve the greens, right? And that's their choice to use that. So for us to be like, yeah, let's use golf course improvement funds to find a contractor to do all this, like, that's easier said than done. And I'm scared that that's gonna get shot down. So that's where then I'm like, again, throw the hands up. All right, if we don't have someone figuring that out for us, and we're paying someone to figure that out for us, then how do we figure it out on our own? And that's where I can't help. So that's like my, I like the idea. Like, I'm on board with that. I'm just nervous that once it actually gets, again, rubber meets the road, and they get that proposal, they're gonna be like, well, no, we want that money for golf course improvement, not someone that could hypothetically maybe get a golf clubhouse built. That's what I'm nervous is how it's gonna get met.
This may be a good point then to kind of talk about that discussion that a few of us had with Clay and Kellen a few weeks ago about the clubhouse the Golf Course Improvement Fund. And I went back, and I think I sent everybody a copy of the minutes from the board meeting of,
Did you send it to the liaisons as well?
I believe so. They should have been on the mailing. But at the October 27th, 2022 meeting, the board met, and they had the Golf Course Advisory Committee at that point. Steve Paulson, Art Gregory, Chris Harper attended. Paulson reported on the October meeting, the board vote on a $5 increase in fees for construction of the clubhouse from every member and solicit donations for funds to build the clubhouse. Administrative Coordinator Heidi Smith said you cannot mix donation funds to foundation with charges from CPRD. She explained the process of how donations toward the clubhouse could be made to the foundation. Kellen described a price increase scenarios that he was looking at and how to structure it. Don Loving said with the right publicity campaign, the $5 fee could be conveyed as not an increase in fee, but instead a donation and would probably be well received. Don Loving made a motion to authorize staff to move forward with this idea to see if it can be done and return to the board with a report on feasibility. And that was moved, seconded,
that was
and
your question.
passed. So this was the motion that started the $5 fee.
I was there for that.
Yeah. Then in November,
Elected.
the November board meetings, or actually it was December 1st as reported, Art Gregory Golf Course Committee. The committee has had 3 meetings so far. Most of the effort has been to identify finances and ways to generate funds. Some of the projects they are looking include a clubhouse, another 9 holes, a shelter, better mats for the driving range with a fence going around. There's also been discussion for a need to set a separate account in the Chehalem Parks Foundation as they collect money through fees at the $5 for everyone who plays golf. This money would go towards being used for projects. Loving mentioned that the money might not need to be put into a foundation. It might need to open a new bank account. Rates are also being raised in January, so pushing back the surcharge until later would be best. Kellen suggested the $5 fee for the point of sale system at the golf course to help raise funds for the Golf Course Advisory Committee projects is not an issue and can be separated. He also mentioned that the rates are rising.
Is there a question in this?
Just, this was what established the $5 fee, and the intent was to raise funds for the Golf Course Advisory Committee projects. So that was the,
Yes, so Kellen, I think you had, were you going to say something tonight about the discussion? I thought your email said something about you and Clay talked and you were going to talk about this tonight.
Well, I think it was more just that we had the discussion and Clay had mentioned that we had to go to the board to see what their recollection was of that because we had a couple people that were on the board at that time. Jim McMaster was there.
Yeah, Jim is the only person who was on the board at the time.
Oh, sorry, but you were at that.
But I was at all those meetings, every one of those meetings.
so I think that's the question, is what was the intent, the original intent by the board?
Well, my understanding was the original intent was those dollars were to go towards building a new clubhouse. Whatever that looks like, whether that means that we hired somebody to come out and do a proposal for us, whatever that looked like. And that's why those dollars are in their own little space so that we can know how much money is in there.
Kellen, can you clarify that? From what I heard from Clay was they are not being separated. They are
But-
part of the budget.
But that's okay, because as long as we know how many dollars that's there, they are still earmarked for a specific use.
I think
The specific use was projects. We didn't call it a golf clubhouse improvement fee or building fee. We called it a golf course improvement fund.
For sure, as I recall, this was specific to whatever we needed to do to build a new clubhouse. And I would imagine it would include looking at the third 9. It was all inclusive. It wasn't for figuring out what we're going to do at the cultural center. or anything else. It was all specific for things related to the golf course, the golf clubhouse. That's it, nothing else.
I wanted to clarify, when we talked to Clay about this, it doesn't appear that money has been set aside in a special fund.
Well, it
It's being
doesn't-
tracked, but it's not a special fund.
And that's okay.
Correct.
That's okay. As long as we know that there's
Well, it's-
$300,000, and which I will tell you, we needed to get something done. We needed to find a way to pay to have somebody do a study. The dollars for that study came out of that amount. So all of that is being tracked. I don't think that this board would be, would accept, of course, I don't know, I could be wrong, but I don't think that this board would accept us using those funds for anything that is not golf course or clubhouse related.
Especially in the situation that we are right now, because we're kind of between a rock and a hard spot
Yeah.
as far as financing. There's no other direction that we can go.
Well, I don't think it should be your responsibility to
Thank you.
figure out how to do. I mean, I'm sitting back here listening to this, and I appreciate Mr. McMaster saying that you guys should come up with a way to fund this. It's not your responsibility. And I will tell you, if I was sitting in your shoes, I would set my paper down, and at the very next meeting, I would absolutely just simply ask the board directly, are you interested in a golf course? Are you expanding the clubhouse? Are you interested? Because I'll be honest with you, I am on the board. I have no idea what the other people are thinking. So, and I would ask that, I was going to wait. I was going to ask that question when my time to come up to speak is. I was going to ask you, do you guys know where Jim McMaster is does he want a clubhouse? Does he want to expand the night? Does Matt Smith? Does Brandon Slider? Does Nick Conan? Do you guys know? I'll tell you, I'm on the board and I have no idea. I know where I stand on it. My position as a board member, not the board's position, but my position is, this is one of the only things that we have. We have this, and then we have got this, the swim
Aquatic Center.
aquatic center, okay? Those are the only things that make money. Well, really, they are the only thing that makes money. And they are something that people use, and it's something that attracts people to our facilities, and I think it's something that we should be investing in. That has been my position from day one. I don't know how the rest of the board feels, and before I waste another moment doing anything, I think I would want to know, where are we at on this? It's all fun and good, it's all fine to keep saying, hey, let's, see if you can figure out where you're gonna find and I appreciate them suggesting doing that, because, you know what, we all have a talent here. I don't know what your guys' talents are, but we all have a talent here, and there are people who are talented and just know people, and they know how to raise money. And I think we have people within CPRD or just outside of CPRD that maybe are at the cultural center that know how to raise money. And maybe it's possible to put you guys in contact with them. And I think maybe the board should take a bigger role, especially Jim McMaster, since he is the president of the board and he's been here the longest and he knows where all the bodies are buried. So that's his words, not mine.
And I'll just piggyback on top of this, and correct me if I'm wrong, this would be considered a capital project, so there's a list that the board has of capital projects, and it's basically the board's decision on where this drops into that list on capital projects.
And I will tell you guys, as a board member, I know you guys have heard this forever now, but this list is so massive, it is so big, okay? And, there's things that I wanted to do that would literally cost us zero, other than it would have taken some labor time. But we are stretched thin. Okay?
I think we know that real well.
Yeah, we're stretched really thin.
And again, it just circles back to our desire to have used the Golf Improvement Fund.
Yes.
To fund a part-time project manager to answer these questions, do all of this investigative work, help figure out how to raise funds, et cetera. I was on the record many meetings ago. My goal here is not, I know that CPRD staff has project managers, and they have a laundry list of things to do and capital projects and whatnot. We're not asking the board to reprioritize those unless we need to go there. All we're saying to the board is, we're asking you to outsource this using funds that we believe have been delegated for this project. I think, and the rest of the committee can correct me, I think what Clay needs to hear is that directive from the board of directors. And so maybe the questions to ask, one, I like how you said, flat out, what are each board member's opinion on this project after the feasibility study? And then two, please clarify what those funds can be used for. And if they're at the discretion of this committee, then this is our recommendation and we suggest you move forward at it.
I can clarify that. I know that it's not at the discretion of this committee. It's going to be at the discretion of the board. However, I will tell you, generally speaking, just myself, I'm not opposed to the idea, but just know this, it's way more expensive, even for a part-time person, than you might dream that it is, because it isn't just that part-time. It's $75,000 minimum for a part-time person. It's minimum. You know what I mean? And the reason why is because you got their taxes and then our taxes and whatever else goes along with that. You know what I mean? So there's a ton that goes with that. Now, we have the money. I think we have the money. I haven't looked at the books, but I believe we have that money. I think that that's something that's reasonable to propose, to say, hey, look, we think maybe it might be worthwhile, and maybe could we, and ask the board, is this something that you would consider? I don't think it's gonna be decided that night, but actually, you know what you could do, is you guys could come in and do a presentation, okay? You could do a presentation where you come in here and just lay out exactly what you guys have talked about and present that to the board and see if you can get any kind of discussion with the board. Generally speaking, that's what happens is you guys give the presentation, the board goes back and looks at it, and then it comes back in another meeting where people from outside get to come in and say that was a dumb idea, or it was a great idea, or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so. Who can request a motion on the board of directors?
A motion as
A
far as
motion.
what? Any one of us at any motion, at any moment.
You can do a motion to
100%.
do what we've recommended here,
Yep.
then why aren't you?
We just talked about it
Oh.
2 seconds ago. Bob.
You don't know
I
where the
think what
board's
needs
coming
to
from.
happen, and I would never just make a motion like that, somebody's gotta state their case, okay? And if I was gonna do it, which I'm not gonna do it, I'm not saying that I wouldn't make the motion, but what I wouldn't do is I'm not gonna state your entire case. I think that's what you guys, you know, this is what you guys are putting together. I think what you do is you come in, you do a presentation, and you say, this is what we'd like to achieve. This is a way of getting there. And by the way, it's not only a way of getting there, but if we could hire the right person, maybe that person could not only do some fundraising for this particular project, but maybe there are other projects. And maybe the board would see it as, you know what, this could be a win-win for many projects.
So mine is a PowerPoint presentation. That's what Bob and I did at the last board of director meeting. And we laid it out very clearly that there are a lot of these questions, as Roger has put into print. And I provided a copy of what I spoke to be a part of the minutes. But we laid it out, there's a lot of things we don't know.
Yeah.
We also appreciate that there's, at the time, roughly $300,000, maybe it's less after it pays for the feasibility study. We generate around just shy of $100,000 from the Golf Improvement Fund. The feasibility study said you should be generating closer to 160. And I think Kellen and his team are looking at that in more detail. So 75,000 is a drop in the bucket when you talk about the big picture. If we truly generate 150,000 a year, that should more than pay for a part-time indefinitely. in perpetuity. I cannot say the word, you know?
Sure.
But the presentation focused around, the funds are there. They continue to generate, right now, 100,000 a year, should be 150 or more. And we would like, you know, the application process of this project manager firm, part-time, full-time, whatever, to see, here's our vision. This is where we want to be in 3 years. This is where we want to be in 5 years. Can you help get us to there?
Right.
Using all the resources you have, fundraising, marketing, et cetera. 3 years being roughly when we'd love to see the doors open of a new facility. 5 years, start maybe seeing if we have enough rounds of golf to support a third 9. So I feel like I did that minus the PowerPoint presentation. Now, should I have ended with, I encourage you to make a motion and pass something?
No, so here's the thing. So as a board member, I'm very much aware of all the projects that we've got going on, okay? So for me to know what the answer is not likely that I'm going to say, hey, what do you guys say? Let's move forward and start really digging in here to get more answers or start working on building this thing. I know we don't have the manpower. We don't have anybody here to work on it, okay? I personally don't know that we have the will amongst the board members to build a clubhouse. I don't know that it's there, all right? I honestly do not know where the other board members are. Do you guys know where Matt Smith is? Does he want to do it? Do you know where Jim McMaster is?
I think I do.
I think I do too.
Do you know where Brandon Slater is? Or Nick Conan? So that's what I'm saying. So I'm gonna tell you something. When I am ready to make a motion, in my mind, I feel like I know where we're going with it, okay? When I sell tow trucks for a living, all right? I don't spend a lot of time with somebody that's not gonna buy from me, all right? I have a pretty good idea you're gonna buy from me. So you know, I don't know if I'm answering your question. I understand what you're saying, but I will tell you that without us knowing where the rest of the board is, and I know we don't have the time to, we don't have the manpower, we are spread thin. We have so many projects going on, and then we have problems with projects that are going on. So those are more things that we've got to work through. So, you know, I would love to say, hey, look, we should be starting this next year, okay, or next month. But this is government and everything works at the speed of slow.
At the last board meeting, I wasn't there, but what I remember after watching the Zoom meeting, I remember Clay suggesting that we have a joint meeting between
Yes,
our committee
I saw that was on.
and the board. And I think at the time, there was discussion about, and maybe there's more been developed on that idea, but it was the thought that our club committee would meet kind of first with the board, but then bring up these ideas, and then with the board discussion to really see where are we? Where is the board on
Yeah.
this project? Where is the board? But it'd be a joint meeting.
Yeah.
And I think it was suggested that time in September, but I think you're gonna have, the
You
board's
can't
gonna
do
have a lot
anything.
of stuff.
Yeah, you won't do anything, oh, well, you could do something in September.
Well,
I was just thinking, no, you can't, because we're on vacation. Meaning, we don't get a vacation,
No, August was your vacation.
Yeah, that was August.
not for me.
But September is your next
I'm
scheduled,
leaving. Okay.
September is your next scheduled
I'm
board
outta
meeting.
here. Yeah,
But
September
according to
24th,
Clay,
and we will be there for that.
sort of according to Clay, it's gonna be a very full agenda. You've got the Riley Park thing you've gotta deal with.
Yeah.
So there was discussion maybe in October timeframe, and I know there's some conflicts with potential dates, and so maybe it would become a special meeting.
Sure.
That
And
we
I
would
don't
set
think
up.
people are opposed to that, okay? So if you guys want to have a special meeting, that's, all you gotta do, I believe, is just talk to Clay. And if Clay says, no, you can't do that, then you can just come to me, call me on the phone, and I can order a special meeting. So, and that's, I think what would be really good, even if we're here for 5 minutes on some day, if we have a joint meeting and you guys have clarity, who wants to move forward on this project? We need to know. If there's no consensus of people that want to move forward on this project, it's a good time to, take the rest of summer off,
Fall.
fall,
Well,
whatever.
Yeah, yeah,
You know what I mean?
yep.
yeah,
No, I think
Because
that's,
I know
yeah.
you guys come out here, and I know what you guys feel like. You guys feel like I do when I've gone to many meetings in the past where, wow, we're just having a meeting about a meeting, and nothing is accomplished. Okay, we're talking about a lot of stuff, but we're not getting anything done, and it doesn't look like the needle has moved. Okay, and I understand where you guys are going, so I think the first thing we need to do, my personal opinion, let's make sure we have a consensus that we're actually moving forward. And I know that people can say, well, geez, we approved doing the feasibility study, we approved doing this. That doesn't mean anything. That just means they approved to spend money on a project. I think it's good to find out who's got skin in the game, who wants to move forward on this thing, who does not want to move forward on this thing here. And if you don't have the votes, there's no point in killing yourselves trying to do something that isn't gonna happen. And when I say that, I don't mean it's not ever gonna happen. I just mean it isn't gonna happen. I don't believe it's gonna happen in the near future, even if every single member says, we're all on board. It's not gonna happen that fast, because we have to delegate what projects are already in motion, because there's a lot of projects that are time sensitive to grants that we have. Well, like we got $1 million grants for building bridges out here, and this, I'm not gonna go there, but we have $1 million grants to build bridges, and start working on, or continue working on our trail, all right? So we have to spend that money in a particular amount of time, otherwise you lose it.
and you'll be gone. You're a short timer, aren't you?
Well, I'm here until June or July of next year,
Yep.
yeah, unless I decide to run again. And then I'll continue. Yes, you can do both.
You can.
Heck, yeah.
Very good.
I think that's what's hard for me is I feel like we've been very conscientious of that, of the workload, of the capacity,
Yes.
of the funds.
Yes,
And I think even in my presentation is the workload we're asking CPRD staff to do is find the firm, contract out this project manager, et cetera, because we have earmarked the funds to pay for it. And I don't want this to be taxing on CPRD staff. I don't want this to be financially taxing.
yeah,
So I feel like we got those two tasks assigned. The only reason I'm not going out and looking for a firm myself is I don't want to step on CPRD staff's toes. I want them to have input into, do you want to hire someone? Do you want to contract it? Do you want a firm? What do you want? But once you onboard that person, they work in a silo.
yes,
And they're not going to have any impact, in my opinion, on any of the projects or any of the funding because they have to generate their own funds to move forward through the revenue bonds, however they want to generate it. All we're paying for is that person's salary.
Now, real quick, I don't know what implications there are. I don't know whether we can actually hire somebody. We have a budget that has been approved, okay, for the year. We have a budget that's been approved. I don't know what rules there are about hiring a new FTE or part-time employee, FTE, full-time employee. I know that you're not asking for a full-time, but I don't know what the rules are about spending money, because we already have a budget put together, okay?
There must be ways to do it, because I saw an ad, they're hiring a
Again,
park ranger.
Again, I don't know whether they can do that or not. I saw the same thing.
Yeah.
I don't know how they can do that or not. Again, we'll find out.
My understanding, and Kellen, if you know better, you can correct me, but my understanding in talking to Clay and staff is that budgets can be amended by the board of directors, especially if you have the funds allocated elsewhere, i.e. golf
Yes,
improvement fund.
that I
So
know
that's
for sure.
why it's like, I feel like
Yeah.
this is not something that should sit on the sideline.
Yeah.
It's, the funds are there. And I just want to, for clarification, this person is going to take our timeline
Yeah.
and over the months to years, see if it can work. If this person comes back in 2 years and says, I can't generate the funds, then it dies. I'm okay with that, as long as I know someone spent time and effort with the expertise needed to fully explore it.
Yeah, we'd have to figure out you know, how we're going to manage that person, how we're going to, what metrics we're going to use to make sure that we're getting our dollars, our money's worth, you know what I mean? What are we gonna, what's the expectation? You know, so, cause you can't wait 2 years to have somebody say, well, you know, I can't think of nothing. You know what I mean? You have to have somebody who says, you know, I've done this before, and this is how we did it, and these are my suggestions now, and this is the interview process.
And that's the little bit of upfront work that we do need to ask or would ask CPRD staff to do,
Which
so
I
that they
think we
can
should.
manage it, they can
Yeah.
manage it.
Yeah.
But once they set the ball rolling,
Yeah.
they're working in their own silo, independent of the other projects. They're working on their own budget.
Surely.
Already allocated funds, et cetera. But I don't want to take that away from Clay and his team. I want Clay to figure, what do you think the best way to manage this? Do you want to?
I think he's gotta work under Clay.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I mean,
And the reason why I say that is because what would be a great thing is to hire somebody to do this and then realize, you know what? This person is doing a great job at this. They need to be a full-time employee because we can see that there's value here. And then it's a winner chicken dinner for everybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're moving forward.
that just, in my opinion, supports a recommendation to allow Clay and his team to own this and figure out who you onboard how, whether it's
Yeah.
an individual, a firm. All we're saying
And
is,
they have to.
The funds
approve
are-
it. They have to be the people that do it, because it wouldn't be anybody else.
yeah, I agree, and I don't want to tell him how to do that. I want him to own it, and
Yeah.
so it works within his management style.
Let's move on here. Then I think what I'll do is I'll work with Kellen and Clay about this joint meeting, and we'll then kind of fill in some more of the details, and then kind of get back to the committee about what's being proposed there. Okay?
Yep, thank you. Thank you for the candid discussion, too.
So we've got, I know we want to talk about the application process. So in our agenda, we've got comments from the board liaisons. Do you have any additional comments you'd like to
No,
present to us?
I just do believe, guys, we need to know, do we
Yep.
have a consensus with the board?
Yep.
That's, I think, nothing's more important than that, because if you don't have a consensus, we're just spinning our wheels here.
I think, great suggestion. Thank you very much for that, so.
Well, let's make sure that's on the first agenda item in
minutes,
our
yeah.
joint meeting.
And by the way, I just want to reiterate, I do know that the board has voted to move forward to do this and that. That doesn't mean that we have a consensus of people
Right,
that say,
right.
you know, this is a priority of mine. So,
Yeah, good. We see this as a feasible project, and, yeah.
yeah.
Staff,
I got all the golf course improvement fund totaled up. We have 326,000 and change in there right now.
that's after paying,
That's before
Oh, before?
the feasibility study, which I've heard 140 and I've heard 170. I haven't been able to get that exact number yet. So we're looking 150 to 180,000 dollars. That's in there right now. So I finally got that in an Excel and will be tracked monthly with that money coming in. So I can get that to you guys whenever you would like that. And then the only other thing is the application. It's very, very minimal. So Clay and I talked and wanted to add just a couple questions to it. And then I can work with Kat on how to get that out. And
What's the application for?
for more Clubhouse Advisory Committee members.
what are the questions you're thinking of adding?
We had talked about asking if there would be any conflicts of interest with these people that are applying, as far as if they're a contractor, if they're somebody that would want to be a part of this job. And then the other one was, what can you bring to the committee and how will it help the board make good decisions? So just what can you do for the board to have them see your guys' visions, or this person's vision that would be coming on the
Isn't
committee.
there a similar question on the application to that already?
There's community involvement and reasons you wish to serve the committee.
Okay.
And is that in the board packet or today, for tonight? I'm looking.
No,
No.
Okay.
I just got this from Kat.
Okay.
This was something Roger had asked about today. So,
It just, Clay had mentioned it a couple of board meetings ago that they wanted to add a couple of questions to get maybe some clarification of the interest or conflicts of potential committee members.
because you guys would be at 5 and you can have 7 on
Yeah.
the committee, so we would be up for 2 positions.
We also talked about maybe perhaps bringing on some non-golfer to give the other view of this clubhouse, building of this clubhouse. Do you remember communicating with that?
Yeah, I had talked to somebody that possibly had interest of joining the committee, and I said, you would be awesome to have on the committee, but from another perspective, how about somebody who is not a golfer that wants the clubhouse, or that we can convince that the clubhouse would be great, and their networks are way different than golfers' networks, so I think that could add value to the committee, having somebody that's not a golfer.
Kellen, what do we need to do to start sort of the outreach campaign with, just call it renditions or whatever, pictures, where we could then have, a link to this application? We could put it at the golf course, we could put it at the pool, we could put it at any of the CPRD facilities.
Yep.
Because I think the goal here is we're trying to get the word out.
Mm-hmm.
And we're trying to have, especially our CAC meetings, not be empty like they are
Yeah.
most of the time.
For sure.
I mean, we get this exceptional turnout when the board is having discussions around bikes and horses on the park trails. But when we talk about one of the biggest entities in CPRD, we can't seem to get people to show up here. And the only advertising I see is just the public notification that we put on our website. So do you have a suggestion for how we can get more visuals out to the public about, beyond what we've done with just, one town hall meeting I think we had at the
Yeah.
golf course, how we can get posters and, hey, does this interest you? Are you interested in the CAC? 1, come to our meetings. 2, here's the link to the application process.
Yeah. I think that's a good idea. I have no idea how to build a website or a page or anything like that, but I think there are people that do, and maybe something like a QR code that we could post and send would be a great idea, so that's something we could look into.
Are you still opposing putting up the renditions either on a pull-up banner or on the wall?
I thought that was already approved.
Oh,
Well,
really?
we had talked about that at the last meeting, and I think Clay was open to it, so that's, yeah, certainly something we can.
When can we
look into
pursue
more.
that? Do you need some help? Because I can find, like tomorrow, I can get it moving.
What
Whatever
does
you
that
want,
mean?
Whatever you want. Whatever you want. If you want a banner, if you want a pull-up banner where you have you can put 3 or 4 of the renditions on one pull-up. Do you know what I'm talking about, the pull-up? It's like 28 inches. You can lift it up and there's a pole in the back and then
Yeah,
it just hangs it.
Yeah.
And we've had them at our,
Screen or something.
yeah, our tournaments many times.
Better,
The
you
other
could
thing
do
is
You could do a sandwich sign.
sandwich sign, yeah, you could do anything like that. And there's availability here right in town that is very reasonable, and it's possible it can be done in less than 5 days. Anything you want,
Who are you thinking about using?
Allegra,
Yes, that's exactly who I was just gonna
yeah,
suggest.
they're awesome,
Oh, yeah, they're great and they're reasonable.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm willing to take that on if I get an approvals from, I assume, the staff or you,
Yeah, we'll stay in contact on that.
please.
And I think maybe some legwork you could provide us and Kellen before you guys talk, is even just basic pricing. I
That
mean,
would
if
have
it,
to-
if
I'm
this
not gonna
is,
do anything without getting approval. Is that what you mean?
I just want you to investigate pricing.
Just investigating?
Yeah, well, what's the cost? We want to put 4 pictures onto a whatever size sign, you know, and pricing of it. Because if it's a small amount of money and it's going to take months for the board to approve, if it needs to go to board, I'm not saying it does. I mean, I might even put out a collection cut myself to get it paid for. Because the sooner we get,
I think you guys can spend up to $5,000. Yeah, they can spend up to $5,000. This is not gonna cost that kind of money.
And besides that, the funds are there if we have to go to the line item. Oh, don't bring up the funds anymore now, come on. Okay, I'm done.
Kellen, any more staff?
Nope.
Okay. Committee members? Corey?
I've said my piece.
Okay. Bob?
Yeah, I started this 4 years ago. I did put what do you call it when you ask for somebody's opinion on what took place? And it's called change.org is the website. And it was basically a petition to find out who feels the same way that I do, that it was promised, this clubhouse was promised almost 20 years ago back then. And I got 370 inquiries, positive inquiries, saying this needs to be done within this district. Submitted it to Don at that time, didn't do much about it, and I didn't expect anything about it. I presented it to the old board, and that was the start of my direction getting involved in this whole thing. I did not know there was going to be such a restriction on this going forward from this point on. We were asked initially with our committee to have the information to submit to the board of directors about all of the various reasons and non-reasons for having this clubhouse. And you've seen it, you've seen our presentation, and I think it was very professionally done, and it got positive responses from the board at that time. Nothing went through except for the point of saying, well, we need to use some of this money on the line item that we're discussing tonight, and it was approved. And so we got to that point, and this was now, we're done with phase one, and the ending of the phase one was the feasibility study. The RFP went out, we got the company to do it, they did it. Here we have the response to it. We're still sitting here in the same boat as we started. No funds. You go find the funds if you want it built. That's a frustration for me, and I'm at the point, almost at the point where, like Joe is right now, and this is the problem that I have if we don't find more people to get involved and positive people that want this thing, that I'm just gonna bow out because I've done my piece. I've done my spiel. And if you start losing people on committees like you have been in other committees, and I've heard them, believe me, pickleball especially, they don't want anything to do with CPRD. That's pretty sad. So,
I can appreciate that, Bob. That's the reason why I say, let's get a consensus. Let's find out
yeah,
who's interested in this
yeah,
project.
good.
And who's
I'm
not.
glad. I'm glad. Well, I'm tired of spinning my wheels.
Right.
I'm 77 years old.
And I think it's a good idea, guys. I'm gonna say, I think it's a reasonable idea. This is just me. I think it's a reasonable idea to think that this money's been set aside and it is for, moving forward the golf course and the third nine, okay? And I do think what you guys are proposing, it fits into the parameters of that,
Okay.
okay? I do think that it does. So, but I think that there has to be a, we need to know exactly what are we gonna request this person to do? You know what I mean? So,
We can only do what we can do.
because what we wouldn't wanna do is get Joe Schmo in there collecting halftime pay or whatever and just sucking it dry.
Well, I think that was Tom's point last meeting, was like the idea of a project manager like scares them because of like they aren't gonna do anything.
Yeah,
So
they have to be held accountable, you know, there has to be some type of
Specific,
matrix.
yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Agreed.
Joe, comments?
yeah, I mean, I said earlier, you know, about the financing stuff, and you know, I want to try and leave it on an optimistic note because Bob said what he says as far as like throwing our hands up is that and you mentioned it, and I didn't even think about it. It's like this is one of the revenue generating properties of CPRD.
It's one of only two.
Yeah. And I just, this community is literally the door to one of the most famous areas in the world. The amount of money that comes through this region every single year, like, I don't think we even understand how much money is coming into this area. And so to say that this is the doorway to wine country, one of the most renowned places in the world, where a lot of money is coming to this area, here's a great golf course, and that's the clubhouse that comes with it. That to me is just like a huge missed opportunity.
An open door.
Yeah, and that's why you started this. Like, I wish that the board and all the powers that can actually make this happen can realize that this isn't a burden, this is a missed opportunity for this area. And I think that if we don't, and I understand like this might not get done for years, but if it doesn't happen in 5 years, does it happen in 10 years? Does it ever happen? And then do we sit here in 20, 30 years and say, oh, guess what? Actually, the golf course property, we're just going to sell off that land and build some houses and condos, and then Shale Glen cease to exist. Which, again, that's me being, very scared, but with the hope and the optimism I have for this area and the expansion and what's going to happen to the waterfront, like, this area is only going to keep growing and growing, and more people are going to be interested in coming to this area, moving here, living here, spending their money here, and to have a premium golf course with a clubhouse that looks like it actually should be there and welcoming people, not just from the greens, but from everywhere. That is a huge opportunity that I feel like is just not being, communicated to the people that need to hear it. So yeah, I told you guys, like, I'll, try and stop by, I want to know what's going on, and my hope is that the light bulb finally does go off and is seeing that, like, wait, we do need to do something special about this place because this area is special in itself. So that's what I'll finish with.
Thanks, Joe. Mm-hmm. My comment, again, I appreciate everybody taking a look at my ideas and looking at those, and the support and suggestions I think was all great. I appreciate that too. And I think we've got a good basis to once again present our opinion to the board on the report and next steps. So, appreciate that. Next meeting date. We've moved them to, we're into what?
September 9th was talked about. At the last meeting, September 9th was talked about. As we'd be moving to the second Wednesday.
It doesn't matter, guys, I won't be here.
Okay.
But Jim may be back by then.
As I stated earlier this year, like when we tried to cancel 3 months in a row, had a reservation with that, but is there much work for us to do before we have a work session with the board, or?
What I would like to do is hopefully at that meeting, I've had a meeting with Clay and Kellen to kind of put together some more of the details of the joint meeting.
Okay.
And then we could discuss that, make that the main topic that night, and then try to work on potential dates that would work for the committee members and the board.
I'm free on the 9th.
Does that seem like kind of a, focused agenda, but the joint meeting would be the focus of the agenda then? Okay?
Yeah, so if we can schedule it, we can schedule it, and then if you feel like you're making some progress on agenda items to bring back to the committee, then we can keep it, but if you feel like you're unable to get that done, then I would postpone it.
Okay?
But otherwise,
Does
I'll
that
put.
sound good?
5:30?
Bob, would you be willing to be the secretary of that meeting? Till we get our new board members,
If I'm here.
if you're here. Appreciate that, okay? If not, we won't have a quorum, so we won't meet. Okay?
Yep.
Are you typing every last word?
As a secretary. An old time
Okay, with that, meeting is adjourned.
All right.
Thank you.
What was you put it for September 16th?
9th,
9th, excuse me.
yeah. And I'll,
It's gonna be harder and harder to get to a quorum.
Now we're down to 2.
No,
3.
yeah. Oh, that's right.
3.
Oh, it's easier to get through. We can get the other guys.